sorry, Boaz, but do we also see that it is very possible that there are children in school who actually, for whatever reason, would actually want to cause harm to another student, and that we are not looking at that issue? The truth of the matter is that somebody sets these fires. You told us a few minutes ago that children in school are intelligent. There is an application of intellect.
Yes.
So you also know that if you strike a match to a mattress where there is no outlet, it will burn, and that people will be injured and that they will die. You know this. So when you're doing this, because this fire was set inside. It was
set inside, and
the people who slept inside there were these children. So is there not an element here where we also must pay attention to that there's nobody in this cog who goes free here? Whether we talk about pressure, teachers, whether we talk about capitation not coming, whether we talk about the students themselves and whatever behavior, parents also play a role here, because you're going to ask ourselves what's happening. Whether they're in school, we know school, teachers in locus parenti, but that at some point these children will go home.
What you're saying is actually right, but I still go to my default position that I doubt whether there's a student who leaves home that I'm going to kill others. But
it may not be your intent when you leave the house, but there could be something that could be cultivated in you that you decide to strike that match while in school, Boaz.
It's true. I'll come to that. Because Coupet as a delegation also went down, and one thing which was new, which Coupet came up with, the leadership of Coupet through the chairman, Mboko Milemba, he said they reached out and discussed, they found there's teachers there, and one thing that they realized is that there's a student who somehow had been chased from another school. You know, you can't expel a student nowadays. You can only suspend them or change centers for where they are going to study. That they realized that one of the students whom there is now being seen as a ringleader had actually been sent from that school under with the recommendation that should not be allowed to be in a boarding school because had such tendencies. And yet that is a student that the ministry should have been monitoring this, should have ensured then that that is nipped in the bud. But do where you're saying, a mattress, even if you have how many mattresses put in here, and you start that fire, people are asleep. Instinctively, I started by saying the human reaction and response is to escape, to defend themselves, and that. For it to reach a level where we are losing the 16 within this area, it means it has become worse. It means everything around here is not conducive even for escape. And so even those who are coming to put out the fire cannot access that. These are you could be having 2 or 3 bad eggs. By the way, they are not
that's
many.
All you need.
They are not many. And that's why the systems where they operate, they'll be able to identify and isolate those bad eggs, and they'll be able to neutralize that. But also a response mechanism that can quickly come and rescue. Because ordinarily, the fire began, let's use the Utumishi case. The fire began at midnight. It's only at 3:30 a.m., 3.5 hours later is when the first response coming from outside. Here, Utumishi, which is a police, public police institution, so to say, is surrounded by the military bases there, the kind of surveillance that is done around there. How negligent can the society and those agencies also be that you are not able to respond in time? And when a fire begins at night, it must be visible a little bit more. So somehow, we should also not be thrown to a case where we are blaming everybody. I think we start with who is a primary responsible person to ensure that standards in the school are kept, and who should be monitoring to ensure that you do not deviate from that position, so that the school administration through the BOM, through the committee of safety, which is within the school, which continuously also appraises and updates these young ones on what is happening, and new techniques, if any, fire drills where the assembly points, such things, so that it is always in their mind. The same way we pray before a meal, that this thing is always in their mind. They know, before you do this, I'm alert. In case of this, there's alert, that they see sensors, that they can see buttons where they can press for alarm, that those things are in place. That in case they know it is going to be difficult, you can break the window. We've traveled. Many Kenyans have traveled. When you're shown that, okay, this is an emergency door and you can break it and go out, that's a part of the safety. So in these schools where these are requirements, which none of them has been installed, and then you start now starting to look for where the culprits are, I think we should start with the primary culprits and responsibility holders. Right at the school, the BOM and the head of the institution, that is the principal. Then you come to the Directorate of Education that was in charge of observing or looking at the quality and standards of the school. Then you come to the CS, and it is the CS who should actually be activating all this system to ensure things are working.